Hello everyone. In this video we'll be looking at creating your own custom types for the visual item database. So as you know, the item database already comes with a few custom types. So if we go and open it, now I have an empty database. We can add an existing type and we have a few to select from. So we can add the melee weapon and select the item melee. As you saw, if you watched the previous video, you will know how this works. And just like that, we have added one of the types that come with the database and we can see its properties. However, you can create your own types and have any number of properties of any type that Unity can serialize and let it show here. So let's try making our own. First, you will need to create your own class, C# class, and I'll call it, let's go something, and I'll be using Visual Studio. You can use MoonDevelop if you want, any editor really, it doesn't matter, and I'll open it up. So we can remove all this default behavior here. I'll be removing these. So what you'll need to add first is we'll need to add using item system. This is so we can inherit from item base. So it is not a mono behavior, it is just a normal C# class that inherits from item base. Item base is the class you have to inherit for all the visual item database types. All types inherit from item base. And very important thing, a lot of people forget to add this, is we need to serialize this. So we can just add system.serializable. If we don't add this, it will not show on the editor. So let's see what this is. What this shows us. Let Unity refresh here. Now, it will not be added by default, of course. We'll need to add it through the item type control window. We'll add a new type, so I'll call it my type, and then we can select this class we just made and press add. Oh yeah, we cannot have actually. We can't have spaces here because this will be an enum. So we'll add it. And now we have this new type we created. If we add this, you'll see it actually has some already existing variables. Now these variables are the ones that come from item base. So all types will contain these ones because they are inherited from item base. Now you can obviously edit the item base class and remove or add generic properties as you'd like. For now we leave them be and we look at adding our own. For example, the melee weapon type has 4 unique properties that do not exist in other types, only in melee weapon. We'll do the same here. So let's go. It's very simple. All it needs to be is public. Let's say we'll add a float, for example damage. We can make it a range between, let's say, 1 and 1000, and we can give it a default of, let's say, 50. Now let's say name, we can have a name. Of course these need to be public. You can have private ones, so if you're for internal usage within the type, but only public ones will show up in the editor, just like the inspector. So now if we go there, let it refresh here, we will see that we have gained this damage, and as you can see, between 1 and 1000, and this name property. Now we can add a separation between them, so I'll just add, let's say above it, we can have a header, and we can say unique properties, just like the Meli type. We'll add the header to make it more recognizable which are inherited and which are unique. You don't have to do this, but it's a nice thing to have. You can edit it as you like. Now, this might seem to work, but there is one very crucial step that needs to be done. Once you have added your variables, you can add and remove as you like. You need to make sure they are updated. At runtime, these values will not be updated. So when you get this item at runtime, you will not get the values you set. For that, you need to make sure they are updated. So we'll need to override. If you are using something like Visual Studio, you'll get it. So we need to override update unique properties. Now it's very simple. All you have to do now is get this, which is an item base. We need to cast it to our own type. So here it's called my custom type. I'll cast it my custom type. This is just for runtime. So when you are getting your items at runtime, the default properties will be updated to whichever item you're getting. So here, let's call this item 1. When you get item 1 at runtime, all these default variables will have these values you set here, but the unique properties you add, they will not be updated. They'll have just their default values. So in order to make sure they're updated, we just need to put them here. So all we have to do is say, so our damage, we're going to get it from the one that was sent to us, and our name as well to the name that was sent to us, and that's it. That's all you have to do. If you add another variable here, just add it down here. If we remove one, so if I remove this, I'll just have to remove this. It's really easy, and you just have to do it once, and then at runtime everything will be working correctly. We can test this. So let's make a new mono behavior. It's called test, and we'll see that we actually get the correct values. Let's save this. Now using item system, so we can access it, and then all we want to do is we can use the utility and get item copy. So the item type is my custom type, and which item do you want? So we have a nice enum that holds all the items. So we have my type, so we called it my type, and we have all the items in it, so you can just use them by name, and again we just pass in the type, my type. So this will give us item 1. We can make this public, so let's actually do this. Item. So this will let us select which item to load from the inspector. We'll load it here, and then we can just log. Let's log the name, the item name. Let's log also the 2 new properties that we added, so it's name and damage. Let's add this here. let's say damage. So now we will see that we actually get the correct values, which we will set now in the visual item database. Let's update. Let's add it to game object. Now, one thing to note is, if you are using the visual item database, you will need to add this prefab to your scene, the item system utility prefab. Make sure it exists in all the scenes which use the visual item database. Otherwise, you might get errors at runtime, which is a pretty common mistake, and I usually get emails about this, is people forget to add this to their scenes. So please make sure it's on your scene before you try to use the visual item database. Now, here we can select which item we want to load. So I'll select item 1, and let's set the damage to like 500, and let's say my name. That's it. So now once we start the game, as you can see, the damage is actually 500 and the name is my name, just like we set in the visual item database editor. Now if we remove this, if we don't do this step here, that will not be updated. So if we comment these two out, if we comment them out and start the game, you'll see they actually have their default values. So this is very important. If you notice that some property is getting its default values, not getting updated, please make sure that this method right here is updated correctly to reflect your custom types. Aside from this, there is really not much to it. Just create a class like always, use item system, inherit from item base, and put in your properties and update them. That's it. And remember to always set it to serializable, otherwise you will not be able to see it. If this is not here, you will not get any errors, but the window will not show anything. You can see it totally disappeared while we actually still have the type. So just make sure this is in place. I hope you have found this video to be useful to you, and I hope you saw how easy it is to really create your own custom types using the visual item database. And I would like to again point out to the importance of putting this item system utility prefab in each of your scenes if you intend to use the visual item database in that scene, and on overriding this method to update all your custom properties. Otherwise they won't be updated in the scene, and of course putting your attribute on the top of your class so that it shows. Aside from this, it's all just adding variables and then using the visual item database like always. I hope this has helped, and see you next time.